evening. I'm Epstein with your metal market wrap-up, and this wrap-up is for the evening of Wednesday. And here we sit now at the 13th of March 2024, just after 6 p.m. Central Time. So as we look at the market, metals caught on fire today. Copper market got up over $4. And what's going on is the stock market keeps rallying. People just go from sector to sector and they go, well, metals haven't moved as much as some of the other markets. Let's get into the metals. So the gold market takes off. It takes with it silver. And remember, silver was $23.50, $24 recently. Here it's $25. The dollar down, not big today. You can't blame this on the dollar. 15 points is not a big break. We're sitting here against the 110 level in the euro. We saw the European Union did come out with modifications to how they're going to work reserves and interest that has to be paid to make their monetary policy, but they did nothing major and they didn't rock the boat, so business as usual. On the energy front, more traders starting to come out extremely bullish. I'm just hearing it from everywhere. And gasoline, I don't want this to get away from you. So I've been writing in my nightly report some ideas that you might want to use some option strategies. And I don't know that I'd go with the May. I'd probably go further back contracts to try to, on breaks, get yourself into some sort of long that you can manage the risk with. It's a big risk, don't get me wrong. Just a normal correction would be 500 points, 400 points. That's a lot when you're trading these contracts, so be careful of that. Bonds and notes, well, tomorrow we get the PPI reading. That's an easier reading for us to deal with than the CPI. CPI takes into account shelter costs. It's a big part of it. And shelter costs, as we know, jumped up an awful lot in January. In February, they didn't jump anymore, but they haven't begun to decline. U.S. Treasury Secretary Yellen today was talking about that, and she said, just wait. The timing of that is that the leases, you'll start seeing the impact of rent and so on, that it is probably plateaued on the top side, in many cases actually falling at this point, and that'll work into the CPI. The beauty of PPI is you don't get that weighting from it. So tomorrow's going to be an important morning. Talking about tomorrow, before we get too far, we get the U.S. Producer Price Index at 7:30. Advanced retail sales, how strong is the consumer? We're going to see that at 7:30. Jobless claims, we look at that each week. Are they starting to rise? What are people doing? Or soon you're going to have, the summer employment and spring employment coming. You got to look at that. Then we get business inventory data. That's going to come out at 9. And we get the energy analysts talking about the EIA natural gas storage report. And they're looking for a small increase, 2 billion cubic feet. But the long term, you generally are down more than that, 87 taken out. So an injection, that's fairly negative on the market. But what have you and I talked about? How many times have I mentioned the weather in Chicago, how unusual it is? Today I'm watching people jogging outside in shorts and T-shirts in the 60s, but we're normally in the 30s and 40s. That's the point I'm making. And around the world, you're seeing it's just been warmer in many climes. I think that you have to pay some attention to how warm the Atlantic has been over normal, and what could that mean in the hurricane season. Having lived in Florida at one point, I had a second home there. I'm telling you, the one thing Miami doesn't handle real well, the beach especially, hurricanes, okay? It's a big area you got to keep your eye on. In fact, all of Florida. All right, so when I look at the gold market, we're down for the week, 1/4 point. That isn't very much at this point. The market has been consolidating right through here. The pattern is one of higher lows. We've had higher highs at this point. The market hasn't tried to make a run back to the 18-day average for the main support, which means if it doesn't really get through this 2156 level, where might it go? Well, the upper Bollinger Band's at 2231 roughly. That is a logical spot. And as long as you have this embedded reading on breaks like this is where I think the pros are telling clients, take your shot at the market. You don't want to see it get through there, and you don't want to lose that embedded reading. This, to me, is more important than taking out the 2156. As long as that stays embedded, I think you get the people that want to buy everything. I am just listening today to CNBC. and at the end of the day review, I'm listening, and they're going, broadening is the term that you use when people are, if they can't find what they want to buy in the S&P, the Dow, now they're buying within the Russell 2000, and they made mention of it, not me. Stocks you've never heard of. They're looking at PE ratios that are 10, 15, and they're going, this company looks good, let's buy it, because you're hoping something, just gravity. In other words, upward. The pull takes everything with it. And, you have to worry, does that mean at some point that the market's ahead of itself when everybody's buying everything? What does that mean? If you've played that game, you haven't caught the rally, is the problem. All right, let's continue. The gold-silver ratio. It's back to the silver color because the market has gone away now from the 90 level, if you think about it, all the way down to 86. That means silver is gaining a bit on the gold market. And you see that with the gain, the strong gain, especially today, back to an embedded reading here. And I pointed out to you the past few days as best as I could that you're getting to the point where the 18-day average tonight is just crossed the 100-day, and it might cross the 200-day if prices stay like this without much of a correction. I was surprised that copper got as strong as it did today. I expected more resistance at the upper Bollinger Band, and I'm waiting to see if China does anything. I haven't heard a word there from it, and we will see. But everything's acting bullish in the metal complex. Yes, it might be ahead of itself, but that's still bullishness, not bearishness. Even the platinum has rallied into the resistance zones. It's overbought. But again, bullish, higher lows, higher highs, and that's been the way this market has gone. And I've now swung gears on you to the June dollar index. I'm a little bit early, but for these videos, it works out fine. The trend is still to the downside, lower highs, lower lows. You moved into the right-hand side of the Bollinger Band. So the market is oversold, but the trend is clearly to the downside with a lot of resistance on rallies. Back into the 103, 110 area would be where, a lot of people would be looking probably for resistance to show if it could get that high. Also keep in the back of your mind, I've moved gears on you. I'm now into the Junes and all the stock indices as well. So it's time to start making your switches. It's getting time. I'm a little early in these videos for the currencies. For my morning subscriber videos, I'm sticking with those with the March still, but it's just a matter of a day or two before we make the whole move. And talking about that, I write twice a day market reports, and I point out to you events that I think are going on. By writing twice a day, what it really accomplishes, instead of one long report, I break them up. I'm able to cover what happened in the morning events, what I think is going to happen like tonight, things we have to be watching for tomorrow, other ideas that I come up with as the day goes by. And between those two reports and the videos, you really get a very full picture as to at least what I'm thinking. I offer very specific buy here, sell there. I stick with that track record. I keep it up to date in the videos as you're going along with it so you can see what it is. I don't publish it to the public. I just keep up with the trades that I'm recommending at any point in time so the people that are paid subscribers get to see just how I'm doing, good, bad, or ugly. Nobody wins every trade. I hope you understand that, and few of us lose every trade. It's sort of balanced. wrapup.com for a free trial. I don't want a credit card or anything. Give it a try. Move your cursor up here. You can give it a try that way too. You'll see free offer. I'm Ira. I will catch up with you in the morning. We want to talk about the PPI. I'll have that and have a discussion with you as we do the morning video when I had the newsflash video just after 8 p.m. Now we call it Central Daylight Time. You take care.